What you are about to see is a video created by teenagers addressing critical issues faced by teens, as suggested by the Boulder County Youth Risk Behavior Survey. The project was scripted, filmed, and edited by the Teen Video Voice Crew.
During the past 30 days, how many days did you have at least one drink of alcohol?
How many times did you use marijuana?
Methamphetamines.
Any form of cocaine.
How many times have you used ecstasy?
During the past 12 months, have you ever been harassed at school because of your race or ethnic origin?
Because of your weight, size, or appearance.
During the past 12 months, did you ever seriously consider attempting suicide?
Did you make a plan about how you would attempt suicide?
These are questions taken from the Youth Risk Behavior Survey administered in the Boulder Valley and St. Vrain Valley school districts in 2003 and 2005. The answers students gave when asked about drugs, alcohol, harassment, depression, and suicide were both thought-provoking and alarming. The data tell us what our kids are doing, but do not tell us why.
I do think that there are a lot of kids my age drinking and smoking pot.
It's like their escape from reality. Like if school's getting hard, if like they had a fight with their friends, they could just like go drink and basically get away from it.
I think kids are starting at a younger age because there's a lot more peer influence, and I also believe that it's a lot more stressful environment that we live in now than, say, in the 80s.
Kids are getting younger and younger and being exposed to things earlier through the media and parents and siblings and everything.
I think it's more accessible now. I think it's, as we were talking about earlier, the media seem to make it seem like it's something that's fine to do.
TV and everything has been focusing on drugs and alcohol a lot more, and even though they might not say drugs and alcohol, a lot of people are more partiers and stuff. I think kids want to be cooler, and so they think that doing that would be better.
When I was growing up, I don't remember seeing so many advertisements around beer and alcohol and sex associated with the Super Bowl.
What we see is that if the parents give their children really clear messages that it's wrong to engage in those behaviors, it influences what the kids think and how they act.
If parents educate their kids more about drugs and how they affect you and stuff, then they'll probably be less likely to use it.
I think if parents started communicating more in better ways through just sitting down and talking, then people would stop using drugs more often.
Parents sometimes are very hesitant to talk about more difficult topics. They're not really sure where to start.
A lot of them are thinking about how they were when they were kids and how to kind of relate that, but at the same time I think parents don't want to relate that part of it because they're afraid that their kids will take that and say, well, you tried it, why can't I?
I don't think parents do know how to communicate with their kids because most time parents are either at work or they just don't talk to their kids that often.
But a lot of times parents get really distracted with their own lives, and they don't take time to sit down and talk to their kids and really listen to their kids.
Also, I think they really do look to parents to set norms of behavior. The way we live actually speaks volumes, I think, to our young people.
If a parent drinks or smokes or something, that makes the kid think that it's okay to do that. I think if the parents drink or smoke, the kids would be more likely to.
I don't think teens do think about what can happen if they drink and drive. If they hit somebody or if they crash, they could end up killing somebody. I don't think that teens really think about this stuff.
Because there are so many kids that drink and drive, I don't think that kids think about the risks. They a lot of them think that they're invincible and they go out and drink and drive. I've known some people who have gotten into accidents because of drunk driving and have regretted it for a really long time.
I think a lot of harassment goes on in schools, a lot more than teachers or parents would even begin to think of.
We asked about harassment on the YRBS in 2003 and 2005, and at least a third of the students reported being harassed during the past year at school or on their way to or from school.
Harassment, to me, is something that is emotionally or physically demoralizing.
Harassment means like anything that's unwanted, like any unwanted touching, unwanted like verbal abuse.
Images are a really big deal to a lot of people, and if you don't fit a certain image, then you are either left out, shunned, or pointed out.
I think that's what affects kids the most, is the pressure to fit in, and if they don't, they either get harassed or they believe that they will get harassed, and so that's their fear of harassment is always there.
Peer pressure and Hollywood standards on what style is and what cool is and everything plays into a lot of harassment.
I have been harassed, with race, your religion, because I'm a female, the way I look. Harassment with ethnicity, I think it's big. It is really big, just it's an easier target for them to see.
I get harassed quite a bit. Appearance is definite because I'll admit I'm not one of those preppy little blonde cheerleaders, and so I'm not seen for who I am.
I think harassment is a big problem because some kids take it to like a certain extent that makes other people want to like take their lives or like go to a different school or just leave the state.
In the teenage population, it's hard to be a gay person and not be harassed. In reality, teenagers are not very tolerant.
Harassment is a huge problem in schools. Not that I think people aren't trying to do a lot about it. Harassment is insidious, and by that I mean sometimes people can't even see it, they don't even hear it.
School officials don't really connect with children. The school tries, but it's not working.
I think harassment is a problem in society in general. Kids mimic what they hear at home. And so it's important that the parents are supportive of being accepting of all people.
Parents do have a big influence on what kids think, like about other races or religions or sexual preferences. I think that if like a parent would tell their kids like it's okay if you're gay or it's okay if you're Muslim or you're black or white, then kids would think that way too.
And a lot of times what makes teenagers feel hopeless is the fact that they're not fitting in, or that they don't feel loved, or they don't feel worthwhile.
The most disturbing or troubling aspect of the survey, I think, has to do with thoughts around youth suicide and depression.
If you create a standard that is impossible to live up to, if you want to be the skinniest girl or the greatest football player in the world and you don't live up to that, it can cause emotional damage beyond repair.
The pressure to do good in school, pressure to look good in front of their peers, pressure to be on sports or be the perfect child in their household. Teens are under way too much pressure nowadays.
Parents are not aware of the pressures or not fully aware of the pressures that they put on teenagers. A lot of times they don't think that they have an impact on their teenagers, so if they set a standard that's way too high, they don't think it's impacting them. But underneath it all, a lot of teenagers really just want to do everything that they can to meet these standards placed on them.
I did not realize that depression was something we should have been even talking about until it hit my family. Parents really do have to pay attention to depression in teenagers. If it's not affecting your teenager directly, it's affecting someone that they know.
I think the number in the YRBS survey is low for the suicide rate. I know quite a few people that have tried to commit suicide.
It's a serious problem if even one kid contemplates committing suicide. The loss of a life at that age, at any age, is tragic, and unfortunately, as an educator for many years, I've seen that happen, and it's something you live with it forever when a child in your school commits suicide.
Coy's Closet is a group of youth and young adults working together to promote awareness of suicide prevention and depression. And it was started in the name of my cousin Nicole Machowski, who we called Coley, who committed suicide on New Year's Eve of 2003. And I was very close with her, and I started it because I didn't quite understand what depression, suicide was, and I had so many misconceptions of it that I realized that this is a problem. And if I have so many misconceptions of it, that means most kids do, and so that we need to talk about this.
When I first realized that Megan was really struggling in her life, it was probably the scariest point in my parenting I'd ever had to face. One of the very first things that I went to with the Parent Engagement Network was the Hope Conference that was offered a year and a half ago. And I heard Coley's mom speak about her daughter. At that time, I had no idea that this was going to be affecting my family 2 months later.
My aunt was very shocked when my cousin committed suicide. No one in our family thought this would ever happen to her, especially to her.
I think one of the things I faced as a parent was feeling like I was a failure. And part of that comes because I didn't hear other people really speak about depression. I thought we must have done something wrong.
There are a lot of kids out there that are in trouble, and I don't think that depression is really recognized by anyone as a problem. I know that a lot of people are depressed. A lot of people have attempted suicide, a lot of people that you wouldn't even think of. And it's amazing to me how much adults and how much other children close their eyes to the fact that depression is a problem right now.
We cannot just sit by and let this happen. It's like a mini war in our community, and we've got to go tackle it.
I think some of the things we can do, especially say at the government or school level, one, the Youth Risk Behavior Survey will help people be aware of what's going on.
I'm very optimistic that we are going to make great progress through our coordinated community efforts to address the YRBS data.
I think as a community, to help our teens, we need to really listen to them. We need to value their opinions and have them involved.
I think we can come together as a community, and that includes parents and educators and government and teenagers themselves and the business community and the media and everybody coming together to say, how can we provide the best and most safe experience for our children? What's more important than our children?